Welcome to day 2 of our virtual annual conference. Thank you for tuning in on day 1 of the annual conference, as today will be even better. Today we will experience the scripture text as it unfolds at our Kingdom Seeking Bible study. Throughout this unforgettable, unprecedented year, we have remained true to the Great Commission. We have seen goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. In our continued business section, we will hear accountability reports that reflect our entrusted stewardship. We look forward to spending another fantastic day with you. Welcome to the 154th session of the Virginia Annual Conference. Brought to you by the 2nd District of the AME Church. Our 5-minute countdown to begin starts now. To begin. To begin. shall begin. And now, our program starts.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome back to the 154th session of the Virginia Annual Conference. This is a wonderful blessing. After hearing so many wonderful things from yesterday, believe it or not, we had over 1,000 people to attend the conference yesterday virtually. Over 5,000 persons have viewed the conference since the conference has been off the air. The Lord be praised, for it has been a blessing to be able to share the business of the conference in Virginia. This morning, we're blessed of God because we are in our Bible study. And this morning, we have selected one of God's most able young men to come and lead us in this morning's Bible word. The pastor of Mount Olive in Chesapeake, Virginia, the Reverend Christopher Savage. Yale graduate, but more than that, he is indeed a young man where his future is before him, and we are so proud of him. Now, won't you welcome with me the Reverend Christopher Savage as he comes to lead us in our Bible study.
Good morning and welcome to Bible study here at the Virginia Annual Conference. It's so very good to be with you virtually this morning as we look to the Word of God. I want to start, of course, by thanking Bishop Davis and Mother Davis for allowing me to present this Bible study. But more importantly, I want to praise God for their leadership through this pandemic and indeed over the past 4 years as our bishop and Episcopal supervisor. Next, I just want to say hello to the entire Virginia Annual Conference family. I wish that I could see your faces right now, but I'm grateful that even through technology, we can still declare, and are we yet alive? There's a word for our present age, and it comes from Isaiah, the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 23. Isaiah, the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 23. And really, we want to use as our chief resource Isaiah, the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 23. And we want to thank God for the New Interpreter's Bible Study, which will be tracking their structure very carefully over the course of this Bible study. Now, this is a somewhat difficult passage of Scripture. It's a beautiful work of literature, but I do want to introduce it by first stating that Bishop Davis's and indeed our theme as we go through this annual conference series is the authentic church, building bridges of liberation and social justice in a divided world. The authentic church, building bridges of liberation and social justice in a divided world. We are to build bridges. Of course, as we seek to build bridges, it's important to understand where we are as we seek to build a bridge to where we want to be. Sure, at some point in your life, you've gone to a mall or a theme park and you know exactly which store you want to go to. You know exactly which ride you want to get on. But the only way you can get there is if you find yourself a map. You look for that little red dot, and that red dot says, you are here. And you can plot your way to wherever it is you want to go. In Isaiah, the 5th chapter, the prophet wants to communicate to his contemporaries where they are. Now, it's not a pretty picture, but it's an honest picture of where they are. I think his words bear meaning to us today. I think it can help us locate where we are. It's not a pretty picture, but if we know where we are, we can build a bridge to where God would have us to be. Isaiah, the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 23. It reads from the New Revised Standard Version, "Let me sing for my beloved, my love song concerning his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug it and cleared it of stones and planted it with choice vines. He built a watchtower in the midst of it and hewed out a wine vat in it. He expected it to yield grapes, but it yielded wild grapes. And now, inhabitants of Jerusalem and people of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I have not done in it? When I expected it to yield grapes, why did it yield wild grapes? And now I will tell you what I will do with my vineyard. I will remove its hedge, and it shall be devoured. I will break down its walls, and it shall be trampled down. I will make it a waste, and it shall not be pruned or hoed, and it shall be overgrown with briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they should rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the people of Judah are his pleasant planting. He expected justice, but saw bloodshed, righteousness, but heard a cry. Ah, you who join house to house and add field to field until there is no room for no one but you, and you are left to live alone in the midst of the land. The Lord of hosts has sworn in my hearing, surely many houses shall be desolate, large and beautiful houses without inhabitant. For 10 acres of vineyard shall yield but one bath, and a homer of seed shall yield a mere ephah. Ah, you who rise early in the morning in pursuit of strong drink, who linger in the evening to be inflamed by wine, whose feast consists of lyre and harp, tambourine and flute and wine, but who do not regard the deeds of the Lord or see the work of his hands. Therefore, my people go into exile without knowledge. Their nobles are dying of hunger, and the multitudes is parched with thirst. Therefore Sheol has enlarged its appetite and opened its mouth beyond measure. The nobility of Jerusalem, her multitude, go down, her throng, and all who exalt in her. People are bowed down. Everyone is brought low, and the eyes of the haughty are humbled. But the Lord of hosts is exalted by justice. But the Lord of hosts is exalted by justice. But the Lord of hosts is exalted by justice. And the holy God shows himself holy by righteousness. Then the lambs shall graze as in their pasture. Fatlings and kids shall feed among the ruins. Ah, you who bring iniquity along with cords of falsehoods, who drag sin along as with cart ropes, who say, let him make haste, let him speed his work, that we may see it. Let the plan of the Holy One of Israel hasten to fulfillment, that we may know it. Ah, you who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Ah, you who are wise in your own eyes and shrewd in your own sight. Ah, to you who are heroes in drinking wine and valiant in mixing drink, who acquit the guilty for a bribe and deprive the innocent of their rights. The word of the Lord. You know, Isaiah 5 is something like a love song. You know, there's a certain kind of love song that mourns a relationship gone wrong. Think for a moment of Boys to Men down on bended knee. Can we go back to the days when love was strong? Can you tell me how a perfect love goes wrong? Can somebody tell me how to get things back the way they used to be? Oh Lord, give me a reason. I'm down on bended knee. Relationship gone wrong. The love song in Isaiah 5 is no exception. It talks about a relationship gone wrong. The prophet sings a song one would sing to a beloved. The main character in this song is a farmer who went out into the field to sow and then harvest his crop. He anticipated a bountiful harvest, and his expectations were not unrealistic. The farmer's vineyard was on a very fertile hill. That means his vines would have had all the nutrients they needed to grow and to produce luscious grapes, sweet grapes, a major harvest so that the farmer could make wine. The farmer carefully tended the field. The farmer cleared the stones. The farmer removed anything that would keep the young tender vines from growing. The farmer watched over his crop to protect it and built a wine vat because he just was so sure that he was going to be able to fill that vat with wine once the vines had produced their grapes and the grapes could be turned into wine. A magnificent harvest is what the farmer was preparing for. Then he waited. It's at this point that the song changes its tone, because the farmer had prepared for the harvest, anticipated the harvest, expected a great harvest, but he was disappointed. Because when the crops came in, the grapes that grew were wild grapes. They were not sweet. They were not suitable for making wine. The farmer had invested his time and his energy and his resources all for nothing. So he turns in the song to the residents of Jerusalem and Judah, and he asks them, what more could I have done? Why was there no good harvest? In the words of Boys to Men, give me a reason. Unknowingly, however, that this audience, Jerusalem and Judah, were not judging a farmer and his crop. They were judging God and God's people. God was the farmer, and they were the field. God had loved the people, but they didn't love him back. God was committed to the people, but they were not committed back. God had poured love and time and energy, all expecting out of this field, out of this people, two things: justice and righteousness. And the scripture says he expected justice, but saw bloodshed. Righteousness, but heard a cry. Now we know why God is upset. God is angry because he expected justice and righteousness, and he did not find it in his people. What follows beginning in the 8th verse are a series of divine complaints. God calls out 6 different woes in King James, but eyes in the New Revised Standard Version. Each of these woes are a place where God pinpoints injustice in Isaiah's world. And I would suggest that these same places of injustice exist in our world. And it's from these 6 different places, at the very least, where we need to build bridges from these places to where God would have us to be. Let me list off a few of these places of injustice that God calls out in the world, in Isaiah's world. The first one, those who build around themselves houses and fields so that there is no room for others, who gather up all that is around them and keep others at a distance. That's from verses 8 through 10. This is a place of injustice. It's a woe in Isaiah's world, and it's a woe in our world. Where do we find this woe? Well, we find it in our capitalist system, where the rich get richer and the poor get poor, and the wealthy builds hedges around their wealth so that no one else can have access to it. Number 2, those who celebrate with song and wine, but do not regard the works of the Lord or see the works of the Lord's hands, their intoxicated state numbing them from the everyday glimpses of God at work in our world. We can see that in verses 11 through 17. This is a place of injustice in Isaiah's world. It's a place of injustice in our world. It's a woe in Isaiah's world. And it's a woe in our world when we do not look to see where God is at work. And if we listen very carefully to the words of Jesus Christ, where have you seen me? Well, where have we seen Jesus? Well, in prison, in hospitals, in homeless shelters. And if we want to see God at work, according to writers such as James Cone or Howard Thurman, we must look for those persons with their backs against the wall, because God is at work in liberation. Number 3, those who draw iniquity with cords of falsehoods, who are harnessed to sin, who sin and cannot let go. Verses 18 through 19. It's a place of injustice in Isaiah's world. It's a place of injustice in our world. It's a woe in Isaiah's world. It's a woe in our world when persons are tied to falsehoods, because it's those falsehoods that allow them to commit acts of iniquity. Think about our own country. A few days ago, the Vice President of the United States, Vice President Pence, dared to declare that the United States is winning against coronavirus on the same day that we recorded the highest numbers of persons contracting coronavirus. Of course, the Vice President was saying that we were winning because at the same time, the President had announced that we would decrease our testing, right? He was lying in order to continue the acts of iniquity and inequality that we see in this government. It was a problem then, it's a problem now, and we must build from here, move from here. Number 4, those who call evil good and good evil, who call light darkness and darkness light, who call what is bitter sweet and what is sweet bitter, those who are incapable of making moral decisions. That's in verse 20. I think I can show you this better than I can tell you. Watch carefully.
Now, back to the president's victory lap yesterday, which started at the National Prayer Breakfast. Conservative writer and thought leader Arthur Brooks spoke right before the president about the teachings of Jesus Christ to love your enemies, a message the president said he doesn't agree with.
Ask God to give you the strength to do this hard thing, to go against your human nature, to follow Jesus' teaching. You believe Jesus' teaching, act like it. Me too. To love your enemies. Ask God to take political contempt from your heart. And sometimes when it's just too hard, ask God to help you fake it.
Arthur, I don't know if I agree with you. But I don't know if Arthur's going to like what I'm going to say.
What you just saw is the President of the United States calling that which is good, which Jesus said, to love your enemies. He calls that bad. And what is bad, he calls good. I don't think this needs any further explanation. We must build from here. We can't stay here because God is not happy where we are at. Next, those who are wise in their own sight, the self-appointed wise ones. We see that in verse 21. It is a place of iniquity, a place of injustice. In Isaiah's world, it's a place of injustice. In our world, it's a woe. In Isaiah's world, it's a woe. In our world, and we see it in places like Florida, where a few weeks ago, their governor fired the person who was taking statistics for coronavirus because he wanted to assert that cases were going down. And now we know that Florida is the new epicenter of the coronavirus, because when smart and wise and capable scientists who lead our public health departments, and their wisdom and their decisions are replaced by politicians who make decisions based off of their political ideology. It's a woe. It was a woe in Isaiah's world. It's a woe in our world. And we have to build a bridge of liberation from this place of ignorance to a place of knowledge and intelligence and wisdom. Right? Last but surely not least, those who acquit the guilty for a bribe and deprive the innocent of their rights, who are concerned primarily with self-ease and their own comfort. We see that in verse 22. It was a source of injustice in Isaiah's world, and it's a source of injustice in our world. It was a woe in Isaiah's world. It's a woe in our world. We see this woe in the prison industrial complex and the criminal justice system. We see it when you see a George Zimmerman walking free after murdering a young man walking through a neighborhood. While yet sitting in prison are those persons who have been arrested for marijuana convictions, things that are no longer crimes, and yet they still sit in prison and have their rights to vote taken away and suppressed. It was a woe in Isaiah's world. It's a woe in our world, and God calls our attention. He yells out, woe. He yells out, so that we can see clearly the places of injustice and build bridges of liberation and social justice. We see it in Isaiah. We see it in our world, and now our task in this annual conference and in conferences to come is to build bridges so that God can look upon us and see righteousness and see justice, so that God can see the fruits of his labors in our world. My brothers and my sisters, we can see the places of injustice in our world. Let's go out and build. I'm sure we're going to find all about it as the Committee on Faith and Fairness and Justice Committee gives their report and all of the works of our annual conference. God bless you.
Christian, thank you. A relevant word, dynamic teaching, all that follows with the projections so that we have the testimonies of your truth. We thank you. We thank you for the time spent in preparing for such a wonderful Bible study. And we thank you for allowing us to know we must figure out where we are so that we can get to where we're trying to get to. I thank you, Christian Savage. Thank the people at Mount Olive for receiving you and allowing you the privilege of using all of your gifts that has helped to encourage what we saw today. God bless you real good. All right. If the secretaries are on the platform, you can bring them forth. But before you bring the secretaries on the platform, I understand that Bishop John Richard Bryant is on the platform, and I would be remiss if I did not at least pause long enough for him to express greetings at this time. Bishop Bryant, are you on the platform? And I ask those in the back to make sure they find you again. I know you were before Bible study started.
Yes, I am.
All right. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. We are so excited that you would take time out to join us in Bible study this morning and join us in this 154th session of the Virginia Annual Conference. Please feel free to express yourself as our very special honored guest this morning.
Praise the Lord, everyone, and to our bishop. We want to thank you and our supervisor for this platform, and thus far everything is rolling smoothly. I thank God for Pastor Savage, who just blessed us in a tremendous way with that Bible study. And this is wonderful. I'm sitting in Baltimore, and I got the opportunity to sit right in the Virginia Annual Conference. And what a blessing it is, and I'm expecting this to be a great time together. May God bless you, and Bishop, thank you for including me.
Indeed. Our best regards to Dr. C and all of the family, and God bless you, and feel free to join us and stay with us as long as you are able. Thank you so very much. Would you bring the secretaries up now? So the first order of business, as I call this second day session to order, the first order of business is that of our minutes and receiving our minutes, adopting the minutes into the record. Would you please bring the secretaries on the platform now? And what you did receive, those who are members of the conference, you received copies of the minutes on last night. And I'm hoping that you've had a chance to read them. What the secretaries will do as we move through this process, the three sessions that we attended on yesterday, we'll go through the sessions, and if we could get a motion for each one of the sessions, and then go back to adopt the whole of the minutes of yesterday into the record. The morning session you see before you, and you've had a chance to have in hand. Are there any corrections or additions to the morning session? If there are not, I welcome someone to lead us into a motion to adopt the morning session of the first day of the Virginia Annual Conference.
Bishop, this is Andre Jefferson Sr. I move that we would adopt the minutes of the first session of the annual conference yesterday.
All right. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Bishop, I second the motion.
And who
Christian Savage.
Oh. Okay, moved by Reverend Jefferson, seconded by Reverend Savage for the adoption of the first session of the morning session of the Virginia Annual Conference. You've heard the motion. You're ready for the question? Are there any unreadiness? Hearing none, would you go to the polling places now and allow us to adopt those to your pleasure? Those in the background, if you would come on now and get those pollings up for us. All right. All those in favor, let it be known by voting yes, opposes nay, or no. All right, thank you so very much. We are now moving to the afternoon session of the first day. You have the minutes before you, and they are projected on the screen as well. The afternoon session of the first day. What is your pleasure? Can I get a motion to accept your pleasure for the afternoon session?
Bishop, I so move. For
All right.
Christian Savage.
It's been moved by Reverend Savage. Is there a second?
Andre
Second the
Jeff,
motion, Bishop. Aretha Cross.
Reverend Cross seconds the motion. You've heard the motion. Ready for the question? Not seeing any registered. Would you please put up the polling for the second session's voting? All right, is there? Thank you. The motion passed. The third day, first day evening opening service. It is being projected or will be projected on your screen. And now may we have a motion to adopt that into the minutes of the annual conference as well.
I so move, Bishop Vanessa Copeland.
All right, is it moved? Is there a second?
I second Christian Savage.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that the first day opening service, evening service be adopted into the record. And I think that only appropriate with commendations to our preacher last night and how grateful we are to her. You've heard the motion. Are they in readiness? Ready for the question? Please go to the polling stations now. Okay, and the results? Thank you so very much, and the motion passed. Can we now have a motion to accept the whole of the report into the minutes, into the records of the conference as one document?
this is Andre Jefferson. I move that we would accept the whole of the minutes into one document.
All right, is there a second?
This is Reverend Matthew Shannon. I second the motion.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. You've heard the motion. Ready for the question? Not hearing any, would you please go to the polling stations and allow us to get that into the record as well? All right, do we have the results? Thank you so very much. The motion passed. All right, Reverend Dr. Cross and the members of the Ministerial Efficiency Committee, we are ready now for your report.
Good morning, Bishop.
And good morning. And how are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Bishop. Thank you.
Good, good. They are putting a report up on the screen.
I did send it in. I'm not sure if it's there.
I know I have it. They should be putting it up on the screen in just a second. Just give them a second. They'll put it up. There you go.
The Ministerial Efficiency Committee of the Virginia Annual Conference begged leave to make the following report. During the 2019 Annual Conference, the committee was asked to contact Reverend Joshua Main, pastor of Collins Chapel AME Church in New Brockton, Alabama, to confirm if Reverend Rayford Collins, a local deacon who relocated from the 2nd Episcopal District to the 9th, was approved by the district to continue serving as a local. A confirmation letter will be forwarded to the 2nd Episcopal District by Presiding Elder Frederick D. Sherrod of the 9th District. Recommendation: the Ministerial Efficiency Committee recommends that Reverend Radford Collins, a local member name, be removed from the Virginia Annual Conference roll. Committee will give a live report. Respectfully submitted, the Ministerial Efficiency Committee.
Okay, now you have another report that is not in the hands of those doing the projecting, and so you might want to go on and read that now. The report that deals with those that were referred to you for superannuation. The only correction that I saw there before you even read it was the letters are not submitted to a person. The letters are submitted to a conference. They may come through a person's hands, but it's to a conference. And the reason we go through that process of referring them to the ministerial efficiency is because the only reason is because we just want to find out if they are in debt to the church before retirement. But go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Bishop. The Ministerial Efficiency Committee of the Virginia Annual Conference begged leave to make the following report. The Ministerial Efficiency Committee received letters from the Reverend Hoss Cross and the Reverend Jazz Hemby that were submitted to, corrections would be to the conference, requesting superannuation. The presiding elders verified they are in good standing. The committee recommend they would grant the Reverend Hoss Cross and the Reverend Jazz Hemby to superannuate, and we give a voting rise of thanks for their ministry and their service to the Virginia Annual Conference. Respectfully submitted, the Ministerial Efficiency Committee.
All right. You've heard the report of the Ministerial Efficiency Committee, and thank God that there were no issues of no other kind of issues involved in your report this year, and we always are thankful for that. You've heard the report. What is your pleasure?
Bishop Vanessa Copeland, I so move the adoption of both reports.
All right. It's been properly moved. Is there a second?
I second the motion, Bishop. Aretha Cross.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded for the adoption of the report. You've heard the motion read for the question. Not seeing any, would you please go to the polling places officially? And the results are, please. Thank you, and the motion passed. Thank you very much, Reverend Cross and the Committee on Ministerial Efficiency. Thank you. All right. As you well know, as I told you on yesterday, there were reports with no action items. And those reports, we did not choose to have them projected necessarily, but we did want to respect those who had submitted the reports, though they didn't have action items to them. We are now at the Sons of Allen and Reverend Jefferson. Would you please come now? They will project your report and whatever other expressions you want to make about the Sons of Allen, we will receive.
Thank you, Bishop. We recommend the following, that at the beginning of each conference year, each pastor share with their Sons of Allen unit, their vision for the Sons of Allen ministry. We ask that each Son of Allen unit meet at least once a month. And we propose that each local Sons of Allen unit have at least 2 outreach activities for men in the community. An example would be for young males up to 17 years of age and one for young men 18 to 40. Examples of programs could be health forums, family workshops, presentation of topics germane to men in the community, rites of passages, activities, and mentoring activities. We recommend that the churches with Sons of Allen units in close proximity to each other share in at least one activity during the conference year. And we recommend that each local Sons of Allen unit bring in various officials from the school and government to get insight on what can be done to help eradicate some of the ills in our community. And we ask that men from each church assist with logistics, transportation, and security at all levels of various AME events. And those are our recommendations.
Let me ask you this: how many churches in the Virginia Annual Conference have Sons of Allen units?
I would say about 20 of them. About 20 of them. They all of them have men's ministry, but in terms of organized into a particular unit, about 20.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Reverend Jefferson. We will keep that as we go through the rest of these reports. We will come back to receive all of that as a part of the information of the conference. Church growth is another one with no action items, but come on.
Thank you. We may have some recommendations, though. We recommend that each church engage in training to help people share their faith and support church development training. And one of the best new training tools is an online video website called writendowmedia.org with many training videos on evangelism, church development, and leadership. On this website are many fantastic video training modules from nationally known presenters. There is enough information to keep each congregation engaged for years to come. There's a small monthly fee to use the website, but the payoff will be greatly enhanced training for each congregation in evangelism, church development, and leadership. And the information is listed in the report. And this is a resource that I use, and I found it to be absolutely fantastic.
Now, is there a way for those churches who may or may not be able to have access, or for whatever reason feel nervous about the technology of it, is there a way of making this central on some Saturday for all of the pastors to come together to take advantage of the use of this resource?
Well, there are a number of ways to use it. And as long as whatever site or whatever entity, if they have an internet access, then they can view the videos. Some are for individual study, but quite a few of them are for group study and church officer study and the like. So as long as there is an ability to have a internet link, the sky's the limit.
I paused long enough for anyone who wants to ask Reverend Jefferson a question about this report. I paused long enough for you to go to the Q&A and make your question known. While you're doing that, if you do that, let me go on to the Women's Missionary Society. And if there are questions that come up, I'll be more than happy to go back. The Women's Missionary Society, President Ricks, are you on the platform? The report is a part of the manual. They had a wonderful day yesterday. And so the YPD and the Women's Missionary Society gave their report to their organization yesterday and provided a written copy of the same to us. Those of you who did not get on the MOVE piece on Saturday, on Sunday, you missed a glorious opportunity to see what the young people and youth and young adults are doing in the Second Episcopal District. I was most impressed, as was the case with most persons who had the opportunity of viewing it, even in the meeting rooms after the major presentation. Miss Attorney Abrams was their motivational speaker. Outstanding presentation that came through her for them. And so if you did not see it, if you did not witness it, I would encourage you to go back to our website and view it even now. All right, Christian education.
All right, good morning, Bishop Davis and Virginia Annual Conference. On your screens soon you'll see the report of the Christian Education Committee, which is also printed for you in
They
your
should be
booklet.
bringing it up. Give them a second to bring it up. There you go. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Now, if you're looking in your original conference booklets, you'll be able to see a much longer Christian education report, which takes the same form that it took last year, which includes statistical information on the work of Christian education in each of our local churches, as well as observations on how that work has grown from the previous year. And so I want to thank every church who participated in that report. But as has been stated over the conference, that report was completed before the pandemic. And so now, Bishop, so that report is there for you to read. It's on the screen. I just want to pause now to praise God for the way in which Christian education commissions have responded to this pandemic world. And we saw it in an increase in Bible studies and Bible study attendance during the pastoral report summary given by Reverend Hunter yesterday. One of the ways that churches have responded and the Connectional Church has responded is by offering the Connectional Church a Bible study, church school on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock via Zoom and conference call, which has really allowed everybody across the entire world to join the Connectional Church in church school. I want to thank God for Virginia's very own Reverend Tashara Void, who, in addition to being the writer of the current quarter for the church school literature, taught a class and hosted a teacher training on this quarter via Zoom, which was widely attended even by the Virginia Conference, and it blessed us. And so as we move into this year, even when as we pray, we re-enter our churches, we want to use the lessons gained during this pandemic world to keep our Bible study attendance up and to allow training via Zoom and other virtual methods, so that the entire Commonwealth, no matter where you are in the mountains, on the shore, in Hampton Roads or Richmond, we will be able to train together and study together. We shall not lose our momentum. And so we thank you, Bishop, and we thank God for where he's taking Christian education in this conference year.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. Let me go back now, because Reverend Jefferson, if they will bring you to the platform again, there was a question for you. And the question is, have we ever entertained the idea of a Sons of Allen recruitment drive? And Reverend Jefferson?
Yeah, I'm certainly open to that. I think that's an excellent idea. It's been a while since we've done something like that, but that's an excellent idea on every level.
Okay. All right. And so you will be working towards that, I would assume, as a result of the question being raised.
Yes, sir. It would not be hard to do.
All right. I received a message from someone who says that they did not receive the minutes last night. If you are a delegate to the conference or a member of the conference and you did not receive it, you just need to shoot an email to the JLD 123, and we will make sure that you get a copy of the minutes. No problem. We want you to have it. That being said, and I thank those of you who went on and did your reports, and thank you for the reports that you provided us. Let me make an observation. I made it earlier today before the Bible study, and I just want to, before I move into the other business of the conference, I want to make it again. Believe it or not, we had nearly 1,000 people to attend the conference on yesterday. We had, Reverend Jefferson, we had nearly 1,000 people to witness the conference on yesterday. Reverend Jefferson,
yes,
we
sir.
had
exactly.
nearly 1,000 people to attend the conference on yesterday.
Fantastic.
I mean, that to me is quite impressive. We've had over 5,000 people to view the conference since it has been up online. And I say that just to encourage our continuous use of these mechanisms through social media, in addition to everything else that I'm sure we're going to get back to in the future. So I think you ought to applaud yourselves for a job well done, and really say thank you again to all of those persons who are a part of the team to make all of this happen with the kind of quality that they have made it happen with. That being said, let me move on with two issues that we need to go back to. The transfer of Reverend Davis from the 16th district. I received the transfer this morning, and so the secretary needs to add her name to the active role as a transfer from the 16th Episcopal District to the Virginia Annual Conference. And I will provide for the record a copy of the transfer to you as in days yet to come, in moments yet to come, actually. In addition to that, I found out that our chaplain, the chaplain who texted me to tell me that she had sent in her report, but I didn't get it. She said she gave it to Reverend Morris, and she said that Mrs. Benjamin said that she had received it, but I didn't receive it. And so now that we have the report, if she is on the platform this morning, I will permit her the privilege of making her report in brief. Chaplain, are you there?
She is not on the platform, Bishop.
So please let her know that we tried to get her report in the minutes of the annual conference. We did, and we will provide it as a part of the written report to the annual conference now that we have it. We are ahead of schedule now. Thank God. Somebody say thank God. We are ahead of schedule. But what we do want to do is we don't want to waste any of our time. And so if Dr. Bryce is available right now, Reverend Jefferson, are you prepared to do your finance treasurer's report now? Reverend Jefferson?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If
I'm
you
ready.
are prepared to do your report for the treasurer's report, and I will try to get someone to make contact with Dr. Bryce, we can finish those areas up and be able to offer more time to the retirement service this afternoon. Go ahead, Dr. Reverend Jefferson.
All right, 2020 Conference Treasurer's Report, balance brought forward in unrestricted.
Can they enlarge that a little bit? I'm sorry. Can they enlarge that just a little? Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe you shouldn't enlarge it because yeah, so he can get all of it on there. They should have a copy of it in the book anyway. Go ahead, Reverend Jefferson. I apologize for interrupting you.
All right. Balance brought forward in unrestricted funds, $25,456, and restricted balance brought forward $88,315.11. Total balance brought forward $113,771.51. Total contributions and support, 88,000 in total contributions and support in unrestricted, $88,213.20. Balance contributions and support in restricted, $10,002.66. Total contributions and support, $98,215.86. Total expenses in unrestricted, $95,559.08. Total expenses in restricted, $51,186. Total expenses, $146,745.08. Ending balance in unrestricted, $18,110.52. Ending balance in restricted, $47,131.77. total ending balance $65,242.29. The divided up in that total balance, general conference travel, $19,557, and retirement, $25,174.77. Debutante master's commission, $2,400. Total restricted, $47,131.77. Those in the restricted funds. And that ends the report.
All right. Can I have a motion, and then I'll entertain whatever questions are necessary for the treasurer's report and comments to come as a result of it. Can I have a motion, Reverend Jefferson, to adopt the treasurer's report?
I move the adoption of the report.
I second.
Right.
I second.
It's properly moved and seconded. It's made by Reverend Jefferson, seconded by Reverend Savage. You've heard the motion. What you ready for the question? And I'm sure that you may have some questions about the report. We paused long enough for you to ask those questions. I think, Reverend Jefferson, needless to say, can you go back to remind the conference about those disbursements that were sent back to them in the stimulus, and where they came from?
Absolutely, Bishop. I do appreciate that. If you notice in the restricted column, those are the funds that are set aside for general conference travel. And those funds, the bishop that sent back to the church in the form of an economic stimulus. And we thank Bishop for his wisdom and generosity for doing so. If you'll notice in the general conference sustentation, in the expense category, it was $45,186 that was given back to the churches in that category.
Okay, and what other areas of returns were there in this report? I know the answer to that, but I think they need to. It was explained in the letter. Oh
yeah, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me, Bishop. Also, if you will look in the unrestricted, and we all know that we were blessed in that annual conference sustentation refund in the unrestricted category. If you look there, that was $23,824. So that, along with the $45,186, was distributed back to all of the churches in the Virginia Conference.
Okay, and I think that's significant because
absolutely,
you add up that it was over $750,000 that went back to the local churches as a stimulus during this COVID-19. And I'm proud of a treasurer who keeps such copious records to make it possible to know clearly what's available and always trying to keep us out of trouble. Are there any questions about the report? We have the motion on the floor. Any other readiness? Any other questions? All right. Go to the polling place then and vote for the adoption of the finance report from the treasurer. All right. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate it. The motion passed. The report is adopted and received into the records of the Virginia Annual Conference. Thank you.
Let me just add the name. We did not do anything that we were not given instructions to do by you on yesterday. So I was informed by his wife that she did send a letter in to you this morning and to Elder Hayward.
He was referred on yesterday. He was referred by me and by the board, the Board of Examiners. Both reports had that. Both of them, and it's no problem because we did know it's not a problem. Reverend Mumford, Reverend Jack, is it Jack Mumford?
Yes, sir.
All right, Reverend Jack Mumford, give me a motion to add him as an addendum to the report of the ministerial efficiency, his request to superannuate. Can I have a motion to do the same with commendation?
Yes, sir. I move, Bishop, that we add Reverend Jack Mumford to the ministerial efficiency report to superannuate.
All right.
I second that motion. Copeland.
It's been, who was the second? Reverend Copeland? Second the motion, Reverend Copeland, made by Reverend Cross. You've heard the motion ready for the question. All those in favor, let it be known by, go to the polling place very quickly. There's formality in that, but go to the polling place since we cannot
Bishop,
see
it
you.
needs to be updated on the minutes as well.
I do have that.
Wait, she had it because we called it yesterday during the annual conference roll as we came back yesterday afternoon. So we just failed to get it into the ministerial efficiency report, but it's all good.
Bishop Davis.
Okay.
No, his name was not called yesterday. It was only the two. And
it was on the roll.
In my minutes. No, sir, it's not in the minutes.
Let me go back to it because
it was overlooked.
The Board of Examiners gave a report yesterday that said to the conference that Jack Mumford's would be, at his request, acknowledged for superannuation. You didn't get that report?
I did get that report. And then when we went through the roll, you went back and named the two retiring. And at that particular time, you did not mention his name. So, but it is in the Board of Examiners report that he did request superannuation.
Okay, well, he requested superannuation and we got superannuation. He's superannuated. All those in favor, let you know, by the sign of aye, wave your hands. God bless. We got it. All right. Let's go on now. Put the report up there for the CDC presentation, and after that, we are going to adjourn for this period and come back as we are scheduled for the afternoon session. And if Janet, if you could see if Reverend O'Connor is available now.
Greetings, my name is Reverend Loxley O'Connor and I serve as the chair of the board for the 2nd District Community Development Corporation. We, the members of the board of directors, submit the following report to our Episcopal leadership team, Bishop Davis and Supervisor Mother Davis, and to all of the wonderful members of our 2nd Episcopal District, clergy and laity. We're profoundly grateful for the opportunity to serve with you. This is the first report to our annual conferences since our acquisition of 7610 Pennsylvania Avenue, Forestville, Maryland. And we can report that we've had an outstanding first full year of operations despite the current COVID-19 epidemic. As you know, our 15-member board is made up of an equal number of representatives from all 5 annual conferences, and is also representative of our clergy and laity, men and women alike. Our board has remained actively engaged in the governance and operations of our investment, and has met very often to discuss the business, operations, and governance of our investment, and management proactively of the risk related thereto. Since the purchase of our property in July 2019, we continue to maintain a very high level of occupancy, with 15 of our 16 current tenants' suites currently occupied. Despite the pandemic, only 1 tenant has not made a recent payment. We have completed $97,000 of our first phase building renovation and tenant improvements. Our investment generated $480,000 in rental income, resulting in net operating income of $180,000. The net operating income was well above our projections, primarily because we proactively deferred 3 months of mortgage payments, equaling about $42,000 due to the uncertainties related to the pandemic. Our capital reserves are in excess of $100,000, and we project another $100,000 in net cash flow for our next year of operations. Our overall financial position is very healthy. Cash on hand as of June 30th was over $250,000. Outstanding rents receivables was under $13,000, and in fact, except for our mortgage, the majority of our liabilities related to security deposits that we were holding for existing tenants. We're financially very well leveraged and meeting all of our debt service and other financial covenants. As a result, based on where we are, the CDC board has approved a contribution of $50,000 to the Second Episcopal District for general support of all of our annual conferences. The specific amounts and churches to benefit will be determined by the leadership of our second district, and it is our goal to continue annually to share the proceeds of our investments with the very people who gave to make this investment possible in the very first place. Finally, the CDC board is committed to enhancing the understanding of our role and activities throughout the Second Episcopal District, as well as ensure the proper governance of our entity. We want to build on our first-year successes and ensure that our operational and financial systems are efficient and effective. Our thanks again to our bishop for his visionary leadership and the opportunity to serve the great people of the Second Episcopal District. This concludes our report. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.
All right, there are representatives in the conference to this board, Reverend Wade and others. If you have questions before we have the board to approve, to receive this message from the CDC, you are welcome to ask those questions now after we get a motion to accept the report and get it on the floor. Is there a motion to accept the report, to adopt the report, the CDC?
Yes, Bishop, I move for the adoption of the report, Vanessa Copeland.
All right.
Second that, Andre Jefferson.
Moved by Reverend Copeland, seconded by Reverend Jefferson for the adoption of the report. Are there any questions before we go any further? We welcome you to ask your questions, and I'm sure that those members of the board would be able to answer them. And if they're not able to answer them, then we would certainly make sure the answers are forthcoming. Any questions
Yes, Bishop, there's one question that says, when the NAACP moves their headquarters from Baltimore to DC, what's the possibility the NAACP will lease office space from an SED property?
Well, certainly that has gone out in the universe now by whoever asked the question, and I'm hoping that the board hears that. I couldn't even begin to answer that by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a good question. It's something to aim for, and we certainly will make sure that the board gets that. Any other question?
That was the only one.
Go ahead. I think that you ought to be proud of yourselves. You know, the board operates, and the CDC board operates, and certainly it manages the resources, but the resource came from you. If it had not been for what you have done, there would not be the need for the CDC. There would not be a building. You did that. You did that. You did that. And certainly, as Reverend Copeland says, your legacy will speak for itself. You see, Reverend Copeland, we're all using your sermon now. Your legacy will speak for itself in days yet to come. I understand that Reverend O'Connor is on the platform. We offer the opportunity for him to have any additional comments before we pass the motion.
Oh, there's one more question.
Yes.
One more question. Sorry about that. Just came in. Someone has asked, what are the terms of the CDC members?
We allowed them to suggest to us, because of the need for getting started, that the terms at first would be 2 years, and then they would go to the 1-year term. And all of that's a part of the bylaws and how they get on the board. But that's I hope that answered your question. Yeah.
Okay.
Reverend O'Connor, come to the platform.
Good morning, Bishop. It is indeed my pleasure to be here and to speak to the good people of the Virginia Annual Conference. Good morning to all. We are truly excited. I'm excited to be able to say that this year in particular, for us, it's been a wonderful year. We're excited about where we are. We are excited to be serving the good people of the Second Episcopal District. Our board is a diverse board that represents all of the annual conferences, and we have worked hard this past year to really make sure that we have put in place, as our report indicates, the kinds of systems and processes that have allowed us to be responsive and proactive in terms of how we've been able to manage the affairs of the CDC. As I indicated, despite the pandemic that we've faced, we today are really thankful that we've not had to do any significant adjustments of any kind in terms of our operations. Our tenants are in place. Where we would have lost one tenant, they decided to stay as a result of the pandemic. And so things are really looking good. We're excited about where we are and look forward to being able, as we indicated in our report, to continue to share the results of your investment, as Bishop has stated, the investment that you have made as the people of the Second District. And Bishop, in parting, my only other comment is to really thank you for your leadership, the vision that you came in with, that set us on a goal and on a purposed intent to build a legacy of wealth that can pass down and share and move to support our churches. And we're thankful for that vision. We're strategically as the CDC board aligning all of our practices and processes to complete and achieve that vision. And we thank you for the opportunity to lead. Thank you so much.
All right. Are there any questions for Reverend Loxley O'Connor?
The only, someone has says, congratulations to the CDC for a job well done.
God bless you all.
All right, then go to the polling place and express yourself. All right, and the results are thank you. And the report is adopted. Let me express my sincere appreciation to Reverend Loxley O'Connor and the entire CDC board and the services that they have provided. How grateful we are to them for handling the business of the church in such a way that all of us can be proud and have the opportunity of seeing ourselves a part of it. And so thank you, Reverend O'Connor. Thank you for your leadership, and thank the board members for their working with you to make the things that are happening so positively happen without the challenges that other institutions and organizations are suffering through now. God has shown favor to you and to the CDC board. Thank you so very much. When we get to a place where we are in your presence, we'll give you a round of applause for a job well done. All right.
Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you. All right. I think is the chaplain, I understand she did come back. Is she present? I'll take the last 4 minutes to hear her report if she wants to, if she is here now. If not, we will go on.
I'm here, Bishop.
All right. You have about 4 minutes to go on and say what you want to say concerning your report.
Good morning, Bishop, and thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to serve in the 2nd Episcopal District. Good morning to you all. As a chaplain reporting, certainly highlighting, of course, I deal with a lot of death and dying, but there is also a lot of good things that have happened as well. One thing I'd like to highlight certainly is the opportunity to go into one of the prisons that I visit with at St. Bride's, where I had the opportunity to baptize 13 men. It was a great and spirit-filled day. There were 2 separate opportunities to do that, working with the in-house chaplain. The second thing that I wanted to highlight was that we were able to do a grief and bereavement workshop in the community, joined with another church. That was something I definitely wanted to highlight, that especially during this trying time, in the midst of the COVID-19, we're getting a lot of people in the hospitals. And the one thing that persons and people are forgetting to do is to take care of their personal affairs. Bishop, I can't stress enough how important it is for persons, especially people of color, to have their advanced medical directives filled out appropriately, make sure they're dated, updated, and also to make sure that their wills and their finances are definitely in order. The hospital, I've been advised, is now rising in cases of positive COVID. So for my membership and family and leadership that are in the Norfolk Eastern Shore District, the COVID-19 has not left us. Please be mindful. Please keep yourself safe and understand that it is growing. And we may also be moving back to the phase 1, at least as it relates to our hospital, and with the ability for people to be coming in and out of the hospital, sir.
All right. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate your willingness to share, and we have been informed of your actions and your ministry, and we commend and congratulate you. God bless
you so much for the opportunity to serve.
All right. Janet, I'm going to ask that they put up the giving platform now so that it might run again, and then we are going to go on as we go off. Our opening session for the afternoon begins at 12:37, and at that time we will begin with the retirement service. We will begin with the retirement service after we run all of the necessary information that those who have coordinated all of this has put out on the screen for us. But we will begin at 12:37. 12:37. I noticed last night there were several different questions about the giving platform, and I wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to actually know how to make that happen, and how grateful we are for those of you who did make that happen last night. And believe me when I say we appreciate your allowing us to make the collective gifts to the institutions and organizations that really help to stand in the gap for us. One of the organizations was not listed on there, but we do plan to do something for, and that's the organization founded by Attorney Abrams, Fair Fight and the Right Count, Fair Count. And so I ask of you your spirit of generosity and helping us to make this happen. All of the tools that are there. And if you can't get on any of those, you can always take an envelope and actually write it to the district office and put that check in it. And we appreciate everything that you will do to help us to make our sharing a reality. Thank you so very much. Would you repeat with me? Walk with God, and God will walk with you. Talk with God, and God will talk with you. Listen to God, and God will listen to you. Love God, because God first loved me. God bless you. See you at 12:37. God bless.
Your support for the virtual annual conferences and other worthy causes. The Second Episcopal District solicits your support for our virtual annual conferences and several causes. The mission is critical. The virtual annual conference. This is our new lifestyle, the new norm of having worship services, meetings, and conferences using social media platforms such as Facebook Live, Zoom, Instagram, and more. The funds will help to cover the cost of these new methods. NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. We're supporting the work that they do for social justice in this new season. Sherilyn Eiffel, President and Director, as well as Counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and we are proud to say a member of the Mount Calvary AME Church in Towson, Maryland, is leading in the fight for rights of African Americans and people of color to their rightful place in our society. Black Lives Matter, the movement advocating for nonviolent civil disobedience and protest against incidents of police brutality, against state-sanctioned violence, and anti-Black racism. Poor People's Campaign, in the forefront of mobilizing causes that promote the safety, health, and well-being of poor people by uniting them through power and calling for moral revival. Bishop William J. Barber II, President of the Repairers of the Breach and co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, will serve as our conference institute leader on the first day of each virtual annual conference. Here's how to support the virtual conferences and these very critical causes. Text to give, Cash App, PayPal, Givelify, or mail your contribution to the 2nd Episcopal District Office at P.O. Box 34247, Washington, D.C. 20043. Visit the 2nd District's website at ame2.com for more information on how you or someone else you know can give. I dare you to trust God in the spirit of the authentic church in a divided world.
The African Methodist Episcopal Church, 2nd District's virtual conference.
Looking expectantly to our next session? We have reason to celebrate members of this 154th annual conference. Enjoy the benefits of a 90-minute session break from 10:46 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Before we break, let's take charge of our health. It's time for happy body, happy life. Try blinking your eyes and looking away from your screen. You may loosen up tight spots by doing a few stretches. Your muscles probably want some attention. How about walking around or in place? In our closing business session, 12:37 p.m. to 1:09 p.m., we will get accountability on our financial status. Are we financially healthy? Did we meet our goals? Upcoming conference treasurer SED, ERT, CDC reports should assure us of God's nonstop blessings. And of course, no conference is complete until we honor the retirees and pay tribute to the members called to eternal rest. Stay tuned after the break.